So do you think withdrawing your services is at the interest of your clients?
I think the court is getting personal with me as counsel, and therefore my absence may warrant an engagement of a new counsel.
When I say he's not a careful person, he's somebody that when you can just know that once power is inside his head, he can do anything at any point in time. That is the way I see him. I'm not close to him, but from the way he behaves, because this is a person who can bring gold bars and sit on television and display them and do all these things. They ask you where you get the gold from. Once you don't have a proper concession, you are probably not a gold buyer. Where do you get gold bars to come and display on television? You understand? So that's why I'm saying that he's not a careful politician. In any case, there are people who have better gold than Wontumi, yet they won't do this.
So now let me get to Chairman Wontumi. Right. There can always be negotiations and a plea deal, but I think that punishment is an important part of these things. It should not lead to a situation where people just return the money and go scot-free. A nation that jails foul thieves and cassava thieves should not let big people go free when they commit crimes. So yes, the negotiation can save us prosecution cost and defense attorney cost and all that kind of thing. But still, punishment ought to be part of a plea deal.
The state has objected to Andy Appiah-Kubi request to withdraw as legal counsel for Chairman Wontumi in the Samreboi illegal money case. Lawyer the Chairman Wontumi I think our man is also were throwing the towel. The last day of the verdict on the 3rd of July 2026. Chairman Wontumi be who the faith. Whether so obey them and also be coffee. And we are turn on Yimri Forest, the so ho. And send a EXIM Bank and so what letter Eddie Akoma say you, but in the Mario. And tea, Mumra na Yantana table so na aja. Me who can me first to a tracy can. And no, a month for shall say 1 year 20 general so oh mistake. So I admit it, so I bonena money train seeker. But Attorney General, the deputy, Justice, seems I say, DNA plea baggy. DNA friend say, withdrawal, oh, withdraw day. She, oh, cast what the Obasu number so Benjamin, I'll be withdraw. Oh, withdraw, go baby. Dear, why, baby, what do you say, no? Oh, withdraw now one about was because the Abbey, you saying here with service as a lawyer, said, be interrogating a witness. No. Interrogation now goes where on the D-Day, the final day, over more closing mark. A friend is saying, no, a lawyer, no, so I'm a prosecutor, so I'm an idea. Move, yeah. Now, yeah, the judgment, Eddie, I hate more. It was last minute day now, see me, you. And I'm so boy.
So, let me move on to Samreboi. It appears to me that you do not have trust in you or you do not believe in your clients anymore. We are learning that you are withdrawing your services to your clients in that case.
Yeah, it is not the case. There are reasons why I'm withdrawing my services from this process is stated in our affidavit in support of the motion. And I must say that I'm disappointed with decisions of the court. And I'm disappointed with the attitude of the court.
But if you withdraw your service, your client is going to perish.
No, when I withdraw my service, he is at liberty to engage another counsel. He is at liberty to do his case by himself, and he is at liberty to even apply to government for support by way of legal aid. So I'm sure he will take a decision when we get there.
What has the court done? What has the court done? You say you're not happy with?
I'm not happy with, particularly when I have made application for the court to order the prosecution to provide me with copies of the alleged assignment. Instead of the court making the order, the court dismissed my application. I expected the court to make that order for the prosecution to come and say that this is a copy of the assignment, or I don't have it at all, for her to come to a conclusion that there is no assignment. So that conclusive position we have is based on presumptions that since they could not provide the assignment, there is a presumption that it doesn't exist. But I expected the court to make the order directed at the prosecution to provide that assignment, or come to the court and say that there is no such assignment. For the court to record that there is no such assignment, and that brings finality to the charges on assignment.
And so, do you think withdrawing your services is at the interest of your clients?
I think the court is getting personal with me as counsel, and therefore my absence may warrant an engagement of a new counsel, and probably the new counsel probably will be able to freely interact with the court, for the court to understand the articulation of such counsel without referring such articulation to the person of the counsel. So I think that the new counsel will find favor more.
And how is your client taking this new position of yours?
He's not happy, but I have also advised him that it is under the circumstances, I think it's the best. Indeed, I'm not encouraged to perform my best, so I think it will be in the better interest of my client to engage new counsel who will be free in his mind, in the hope that he is seeking or he's receiving favors of the court, positively responding to him, and therefore both of them can prosecute the matter fairly to the interest of the client. So I'm withdrawing and getting a new client who will probably connect better with the court for the good of my client.
Counsel, what will be your final word?
My final word is that, and I have always said it, let us not personalize interest in courts. Let the courts be the courts of adjudication, the courts of law, the courts of equity without more. But it is unfortunate that I feel a sense interventions in courts that are unwarranted.
Attorney General, I try to come out and say, Yanti, Andy Appiah-Kubi, only baby, no better. Obekan, the SO can be Obekan. The office of the Attorney General files objection to the motion for Andy Appiah-Kubi to withdraw legal service to Chairman Wontumi. I say, baby, I don't know. Omontiase. Now, lawyer Andy Appiah-Kubi my other friend. No, people say, say, Ontiase you. Adena, lawyer Andy Appiah-Kubi say, or trail letter, Ghana Bar Association. Like, as what? Your Ghana Bar Association, a group of lawyers. Check it. And as a lawyer, why will you write to lawyers complaining about a judge when even the decision of the judge and out here? Unless say one when say or client ni be for. And what the kind prejudice case in say I will go against client. That's the only way you can think say the court will not be fair to you. When the court have not actually given his verdict. And Obi will say a very nice question. Why not the Chief Justice, but the Ghana Bar Association? Or can you say, and also one of the things that they can consider? I say, all judges in Ghana here, their supreme head, is the Chief Justice. He's the chief of all the justice in the country. And if you think one judge, one justice is not doing fair, is not being fair to who any client, Kubeni, the onus lies on you to direct that anger, the frustration, the questions to the Chief Justice. But why you is how? Hey, let Andy Appiah-Kubi as a way much I want to say, oh, and I'm going to say, I don't say, Papa, yes, sir. But Justice seems like the Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, or say for justice, for God, and for country, they are not going to allow. Omun Penekura Manisi. Now, Jirapa MP, I say, Wontumi versus EXIM Bank issue, no. Or the Chairman Wontumi, no, he's not a careful person.
If you are not in government directly by way of an appointee, and you take advantage of the system and do things that are illegal, know very well that the state can prosecute you when you don't close those powers again, or when your party is no more in power.
Yeah.
You understand? I worry for Chairman Wontumi because he's a politician. He's a politician. But when you look at the way he does his things, you can tell from far that he is not a careful person. When I say he's not a careful person, he's somebody that when you can just know that once power is inside his head, he can do anything at any point in time. That is the way I see him. I'm not close to him, but from the way he behaves, because this is a person who can bring gold bars and sit on television and display them and do all these things. They ask you where you get the gold from. Once you don't have a proper concession, you are probably not a gold buyer. Where do you get gold bars to come and display on television? You understand? So that's why I'm saying that he's not a careful politician. In any case, there are people who have better gold than Wontumi, yet they won't do this. So he needs to watch his back, or he should have been watching his back as somebody whose party is in government, and it wouldn't have gotten to this stage.
All right.
Also, when you're careful politician, baku say. Also, your man from Morgan ha, sebi. They have more gold. Huh? They have more gold than Wontumi. None. And now, for whatever reason, I present it, and I say, I'm going to go back. I bet on TV, so a display, a extra man for so good. And I'm saying, because I say, it's only scammers. I know display music on Instagram, so. But watch a video, say, I'm going to come with the EB. Medical with the EB. Say, junior, US, wine out, a kuno, USC, showboy mo. Sa aja for him omo the best aduma no say obetwa ne sika no da beto social media won say Ibrahim Mama atwa ne sika da beto social media like then ha no we aduma 9 to 5 no enti salary dey Ghana ha open niam mienu a edi say Ghana ni be kan okra kire wa that two things salary the order and an age. On be kan age ntina no be ka kire ne say na penintoto na bra no say unye nwuzu ene say life na biti wo on be ka say ne obeka football age wo ana obi ade na mo obete su se sie ne say life odi 1000 obeka just 500 enti ngobu sa numbu wan twantro me ma ne twantro ma oni nyakobo go yesu na ode say ni si media me osika enti matwa e da betu social media Chairman Wontumi nko na timi asade no so me too good among for to go to Ghana that ni mo for to go to Ghana no one of the last times somebody display good I because we a solid money now obi ni party me behave like so ya kwala say na mo wi am say mo pese we party chairman ono na collapse Ashanti region my MPP Chairman Wontumi now according to lawyer Kwatin I know a spokesperson Edema Honorable Kennedy Japan.
I sit here as a party person, but of course, first I'm a Ghanaian first, and I will not be in the position to defend what potentially is wrong, especially when the accused person and his lawyers themselves has filed plea bargain. Of course, the only thing that I can do is to be guided by the presumption of innocence once again. You know, the fact that you file a plea bargain until the court adopts it, you are still and pronounce judgment based on probably convicting you and giving a sentence, you are still an accused person, and that presumption of innocence still accrues to you. But before that, you see, I wasn't surprised. I saw this coming. Remember when Chairman Wontumi was detained by Yoko, and party functionaries and party folks were trying to meet his bail conditions. I think it was Brian who stood surety for him. At that time, even Ken was also working very hard to stand surety for him. So when he came out, he came to these very high-profile individuals who had attempted or assisted him in diverse ways, just to say thank you to them. And this conversation came up. But of course, I'm not sure I have the full, how do you call it, the full approval to discuss everything that went there. But I recall when Ken asked him about some of these concerns, even the first matter that we just discussed, and especially on the issue about the EXIM, the response that Chairman Wontumi gave then, was a bit of concern to me about how his farms, the acquisition of the monies. I think they said it's around 30 million around 30 million Ghana cedis, and the outcome of the farm. And it was a concern for me. I don't have his permission, neither do I have Ken's permission to bring the full details. But seeing the plea bargain, application, I am not so much surprised, especially with the prior knowledge or with the hindsight that I had. For me, let me hasten to add that, like I indicated, I'm a Ghanaian first, and taxpayers' money ought to be protected. There should be accountability. You see, if it was a case, initially I thought it was a business gone bad. You know, there can be instances where a business probably may go for loan to undertake certain venture in terms of whatever business that he's doing, and probably may have a challenge in paying that loan. I mean, those precedents exist where banks may even declare bad debt. Those ones can happen. You go for a loan, there may be unforeseen contingency, and then you are struggling, and sometimes you go for plea bargain to pay. But in this particular context, the charge that was pressed against him was a charge of fraud, which makes it quite very peculiar. In this case, it's fraud, and this is accused person saying that, well, look, I want to plea bargain. Essentially, it's a code of saying that, well, I agree, I want to plead guilty, but let's settle it. And I think that as a country, also going forward, broaden the conversation about recovering, monies that has been embezzled or that has been misused, whether by state officials, politically exposed persons, civil servants, or other things. Probably we should also be thinking also quite progressive, because I don't see the reason why, assuming without admitting that Wontumi had gone to trial and probably been convicted and serving a number of years in jail, the state will still be taking care of him at wherever prison that he is, whilst probably he is pocketing this amount of money. So for me, I think it's the step in the right direction. Bring back whatever you've taken. You said you were going to use it for farms. Now the charges that has been pressed against you is that those monies were not used for the purposes.
But as a political party, what does this admission mean? I mean, he's running to be chairman of the NPP. I mean, this is.
I think it is not really even a matter of political. But first of all, he's an adult; he can make decisions for himself. But it has.
But to the extent that the party had accused the government of engaging in.
It's not really about accusations.
Witch hunting.
No, it's not really about accusations and all that.
They are prosecuting one of your own.
Let me answer you in relation to the question about his chairmanship. You see, when you enter a plea bargain, before the judge will adopt it and make a conviction and make sentencing, you must also then plead guilty before the judge convicts you. So if you are criminally convicted, there is also a consequence to it in terms of even the general constitution when it comes to your eligibility to certain higher office and certain positions. And trickle down to even our respective party constitutions when you are convicted. Because as soon as you say plea bargain, I am guilty of this ABC, I'm not going for trial, I'm going to return ABCD. The judge then gives a sentence. That is a conviction itself. So right now you'll be treated as a convict. And in that particular instance, it will obviously has an impact, a consequential impact on your eligibility to certain higher offices, whether it's with respect to a political party, it's in respect to association, it is in respect to the general public office. Okay. And I'm sure those decisions, I don't think I have the permission of the party. Okay. I've not been briefed upon. Those decisions will be taken by the party, or maybe chairman himself may advise himself accordingly. He is an adult.
Okay. Also, on that EXIM Bank, 30 million Ghana cedis. No, Granny said, "Only Wontumi permission, and I will need a friend and a boss. Can you Japan so permission?" But okay, say on the day I'm watching now, say, "Hey, Monjimio Ghana for mon sorry, na ye munti and ye misano." He didn't go to Yoko. Na a 2 year dinner, Bomia Gaga went to Mambelino. na brachampo ne kere di try na brachampo ne succeed no owie no okobomia ho okobren ho obaja Canada Japan ho ni na no koda o masi se abre eche no omo make effort so meyi na film na ho ana omo discuss that EXIM Bank issue no 30 million Ghana cedis no o se de o che no ho no de na onim se kinako tam no dey tam kane na mrewe beba o se na mrewe ne nam kwa so ba na duru na nduru ye enye na wo se aduru em se sa mu hu se akwa na di bone na enye ne ana na ma na ana munya good citizen kana ya report nya good citizen kese mo report mo gram go report da da o mo se papa na nkasa atutu na num tuo se skana ye maadi de me ne akwa so de mi cheche mu enye ye ediro mo se dia sa da na baba ana se play bargain a simple language ne kura ni na ne se Chairman Wontumi na nkasa odi atumi se wafum. Now the big question is any wafuma sa 30 million Ghana cedis awon fankodo wan fankodo no o de koye den e no sa de koye galam say as I say your forest no hey so Ghana helped Chairman Wontumi to destroy Ghana. What a country. Wey ana me say attorney general sa plea bargain mu nim na mu jitu yere mo Ghana mo be cham yayam na Dr. Atta Kennedy na ono nya mbibini any asim bibi because kwesi gwa tin ye mbibini on for Kennedy Japan so Chairman Wontumi so Kennedy Japan na ngasa na anu ya interview awo na tu so obidi sika afena manya la no ye Kennedy akwa no ha no na say the Kennedy Chairman Wontumi wakatire no ana na all kind about flood issue now say obi ko disika na makotena form esimwe demonstration na say EXIM Bank issue na Kennedy yen for security interest so that Dr. Atta Kennedy said a country that punishes cassava and foul thieves shouldn't let people who engage in bigger issue go away like that.
And laws that are enforced so people don't listen. So now let me get to Chairman Wontumi.
Right.
I think that those who say the Attorney General shouldn't, in effect, engage are wrong. There can always be negotiations and a plea deal, but I think that punishment is an important part of these things. It should not lead to a situation where people just return the money and go scot-free. A nation that jails foul thieves and cassava thieves should not let big people go free when they commit crimes. So yes, the negotiation can save us prosecution cost and defense attorney cost and all that kind of thing. But still, punishment ought to be part of a plea deal. Here, a plea deal in the United States, for example, means that if this might have led to imprisonment for life, it may lead to, say, 10, 15 years of imprisonment. In other words, you might get a lesser sentence when you do a plea deal, but it does not mean that if you clearly committed a crime, you can walk away scot-free. So one should not presume anybody guilty. He's innocent until proven guilty. He should be able to engage. But I think that some kind of custodial sentence or criminal penalties must be on the table. I noticed that his lawyer is trying to withdraw from the case, and the Attorney General is trying to...
No, not that's not the case in focus. That case is over. The Samreboi matter, that one is over. They are waiting for judgment. This one is the Export-Imports Bank, the loan he took for agricultural purposes. Yeah.
Okay, so I would just say that the government ought to engage, but custodial sentences and criminal punitive fines must be on the table. However, politics looms large in the background, because when you think of a situation where the government itself announced earlier that it is up to the discretion of the Attorney General to accept some of these plea deals where people win cases in court and they thank the Asantine and the president instead of thanking the judiciary, and where we randomly find nolle prosequis with lack of accountability about why they were filed and people got freed. The public has reason to be concerned about whether our legal system is tiered, one for the powerful or one for the weak. I think that we should be guided by the kind of retribution faced by cassava and fowl thieves, and that big people ought not to get away just because they are big and connected people.
If the cassava and fowl thieves don't want to negotiate plea deals, why should that be visited on somebody who wants to, exercise their rights in that regard?
Thompson, the right to legal representation, you work to my admiration among people in our prisons, some of who were remanded just years ago and their case have not been held. The reason their cases haven't been held is that sometimes they don't have lawyers, and if they have lawyers, these are volunteer lawyers who don't have time. So our justice system obviously depends on your ability to hire counsel. I'm just saying that we need to be careful that in the end, when one looks, if even innocently, we will not seem to be operating a system where if you are powerful and connected enough, you can loot the state and then dribble and get away with it. And the ultimate example is that when government changes, if Wontumi or any of these other people about whom we are making noises regards to Ura and others, if God forbid 2028 we find out that MPP is in power, most of their problems will go away regardless of whether they are guilty or not.
Did you say God forbid if MPP is in power? God forbid?
Yeah, God forbid on the legal front, because we know that's what is going to happen because it happened to the NDC people.
Okay. So your statement was not that MPP should not return to power.
Well, that is a whole new show. The MPP, as it is framed now, as it is constituted now, unrepentant as it is, does not deserve to return to power. But that's a different show.
Okay.
Wey on Chairman Wontumi edu EXIM Bank issue na o say ope plea negotiation anya plea bargain keke onko pa cho keke o ope negotiations and is gano anya say okotwa 30 million na net ya mai ebi se ngo be twa 30 million no e de amai with interest why not yenya no na on amese de e na do ta Kennedy kan Adenti, ana de owia cement bag back ye man 7 years. Cement bag back no na buze fonti mi twama no. E ma ye nya no. Ya man 7 years on kodem. Obi owia sasabro adru sister Ghana e wo pharmacy. Ya jeli no 5 years. Enka na buze fo e ka bu mo mutimi twese Ghana no ma no. Adenti na obi be wia 30 million Ghana cedis. The charges fraud ka ho. The charges money laundering ka ho first the cost of financial loss to the state na nini na no so o metwa sika ne keke na onko me ba cho Chairman Wontumi ontwa sika no le nya no ana ye njeli no ka kire me comment section na say uya subscribe like share ma unya enya bi enwe edi no e ba ko max billion I will naked truth old boga trends macro bye bye.